आजादी का अमृत महोत्सव।
Azadi ka Safar with AIR News. Birth of a Nation. India's glorious freedom struggle is one of the greatest struggles the modern world has ever witnessed. AIR News brings you a glimpse of the struggle every day.
हिंदी भाषा राष्ट्र की भाषा, प्रजातंत्र के शास्त्र की भाषा, देवनागरी लिपि में भाषा, जन जन के मन की अभिलाषा.
The Hindi Journalism Day or Hindi Patrakarita Divas is celebrated every year on 30th of May in India to mark the beginning of journalism in Hindi language. On this date in 1826, the first Hindi language newspaper of India, Udant Martand, was published from Calcutta by Pandit Jugal Kishore Shukla. Though due to financial problems, the newspaper couldn't publish for long, the paper provided an impetus to the vernacular press, helping nationalist sentiment reach every corner of the country.
अंधेर नगरी चौपट राजा
The First War of Indian Independence in 1857 brought out new political consciousness against the brutal tyranny of the British colonists. Bhartendu Harish Chandra was inspired to promote social, economical, and academic reforms in the Hindi regions. In 1868, he motivated the Hindi writers by publishing Kavi Vachan Sudha from Kashi. Through the magazine, he brought mass consciousness and advocated for gender equality. He dreamed of India's self-rule and her complete sovereignty.
The Bhartendu age in Hindi literature and journalism is deemed to be a golden era and marks not only awareness among the Hindi-speaking people but also the sharp reaction against the British repression. Mahavir Prasad Dwivedi took charge of editorship of Saraswati in 1903 and the third stage of Hindi Renaissance began. During this time, social, political and economical problems were mirrored in poetry, while songs emoted a theme of social arousal.
In 1907, the weekly Sahitya was brought out by Madan Mohan Malviya from Prayag, and in the same year, Hind Kesari was started from Nagpur by Madhav Rao Sapre. Ganesh Shankar Vidyarthi launched a flamboyant and revolutionary weekly, Pratap, in 1910 from Kanpur, which was the voice of the nationalist youths. Another significant journalistic contribution to Hindi is appearance of Prabha in 1913, first published from Khandwa by Kaluram Gangrade and Makhanlal Chaturvedi, and later in 1919 began to come out from Vidyarthi's Pratap Press of Kanpur. Prabha was a dedicated newspaper to the freedom struggle.
मातृभूमि परे शीश छड़ाने जिस पर जावे वीर अनेक.
Chand was a significant journal allied with Prabha and Pratap. Chand sowed the seed of nationalism against the English colonial rule and played a pivotal role during freedom movement.
In 1920, Shiv Prasad Gupta started Aaj from Kashi to help the cause of the freedom struggle. On the 19th of August 1921, Gandhiji launched the Hindi version of Navjivan. Acharya Shiv Pujan Sahai began with the editing of the monthly journal Adarsh in 1922.
Publication of Hindi weekly Matwala started on 26th August 1923 from Kolkata, to which eminent Hindi literature like Suryakant Tripathi Nirala, Mahadev Prasad Seth, Shiv Pujan Sahai, Bechan Sharma Ugr and Navjadik Lal Srivastav were attached. In 1928, it was again from Kolkata, Banwari Das Chaturvedi began to edit the monthly Vishal Bharat. In 1933, Gandhiji started Harijan Sevak, which was the vehicle of his crusade against untouchability and poverty.
Premchand began to publish Hans in 1930. He illustrated the odds and oddities of the British rule to the Indian people in September 1936 in the last issue of Hans of his lifetime. A brilliant essay, Mahajani Sabhyata, was published, which is the testimony of Premchand's sharpening revolutionary consciousness.
Hindi journalism has been the backbone of the freedom struggle through formation and propagation of the nationalist ideology.
That brings us to the end of this episode of Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News. See you in the next episode tomorrow.